Sometimes when you join a key, you inspect the other party members and just think, this is either gonna go really well or really bad. But you should never judge a book by its cover, and that's a lesson we learned today. After a week off, I've got some work to do, and I've got big plans going into this reset. I feel like I'm really close to making a breakthrough on the priest, and pushing super close towards KSM. I still feel like I'm going to end the challenge at KSM, though I do plan on playing with the community, achieving KSH, and hopefully timing everything on a +10. So perhaps a video including you guys too. Yeah, we'll see. So my goals for this episode are to look at my lowest keys and raise them to something respectable, which I guess is pretty subjective, but I'd honestly be happy if they were just +5s. I know, I'm setting the bar real high this week. We start this reset with an item level of 614, and our total score sits at 1,572. As it stands, the keys I'll be looking to get done this week are Stonevault, Dawnbreaker, Batol, and Necrotic Wake. Some pretty spicy dungeons. We blasted through the weeklies, did the time walking dungeons, and then sat down in our usual cozy spot to take a look at all of the loot I'd acquired and open all of the caches. From the weeklies, we picked up another veteran dope trinket, not so dope, a veteran staff, another agility trinket, and a champion chest with haste and crit. From the caches, we picked up some, yeah, those are useless, a veteran back, a champion ring with crit and haste, another champion chest, this time with crit and mastery, another one? And the last item we looted was a hero back with crit and haste. Identical stats too. I think I was more excited about the pet I picked up, to be honest, and I'm not really a pet sort of person. Never mind, it's pretty terrible. From this week's vault, we had the choices of a hero tier helm, a hero tier chest, a hero neck with high crit and haste, a hero waist with crit and haste, veteran boots, veteran hands, and some veteran wrists. I couldn't decide what I wanted, so just like the last episode, I decided to see if I could get anything from the raid before taking loot from the vault. This time I only jumped into heroic, but this took long enough, and after many derps on Queen, the group disbanded. I will kill this damn Queen on the priest one day. So I went back to the vault, we took the hero tier chest, upgraded a few bits, and that left us with an item level of 616. I made sure everything was enchanted, and then I did something that's very unlike me. Now, hear me out for a second, because this might sound small or silly to most people watching right now, but this was a big step for me, whilst doing these challenges anyway. I listened to the feedback from previous videos, and I changed my Mythic Plus build. So yeah, like I said, it may sound silly, but I only play the priest like 1 or 2 days a week for a few hours. I struggle to learn and adapt to some things as it is, so getting used to a new build that I've been playing for a few weeks, then switching it up is really not easy for me. But I was struggling a little bit with the Oracle cooldowns. I thought about how impactful Halo was in Raid, and just how epic the ability looks when it shoots in and out. So I switched over to the Archon build, and then I decided I should probably try it at least once in a Mythic Plus dungeon. So let's find out how I got on. But before we get started, I do stream on both Twitch and YouTube, where I'll be playing the priest once this challenge is over. We run weekly viewer keys and a weekly raid. No prior experience required, everyone's welcome. Check the Discord to find out more. Alright, so the first key we get into today was a Stonevault +5, and the affixes we'll be dealing with today include Voidbound and Tyrannical. I felt a little rusty going into this, my first proper dungeon in a while with some IRL stuff going on, and this is how it started. Could I have done any better there? I'm not sure. So this key involved a Blood DK, an Org Evoker, a Shadow Priest, and an Enhancement Shaman. Decently geared and all above 610, score roughly around the KSM mark, so we should blast through this pretty quickly. The first boss went absolutely fine. It felt quite nice, to be honest, and no derps on the dispelling mechanic. I'm sorry to disappoint. The trash after caught me off guard a little though. I wasn't expecting so much damage, even with the double pack, which I absolutely love, by the way. I wish all tanks did this, or maybe not all of them. That could be bad. The second boss went down really nicely, nothing to really cover, to be honest. A couple of scary moments on the third boss, but no one died. Then we move on to the trash leading up to the last boss. What, you thought I was going to skip over this part? Don't be silly. Due to how past Stonevaults have been, I just knew what was about to happen. I waited patiently, and would you look at that. Nah, not happening. Not on my watch. Man, that felt good. Sorry, I got a bit excited. As for the last boss, well, this felt so much better. I don't quite know if it was gear or experience, but two things really stood out for me at least. This group didn't take any frontals to the face. That's always nice. But Halo does so much healing and helped out loads throughout the entire dungeon, not just this fight. It actually contributes massively towards damage too. I was quite shocked to see just how much it did. So this guy went down in no time at all, 2 chests in this key, and taking our total score to 1,592. No loot from this run, but a nice key to start the day. If we forget the start of the key anyway. No deaths after that. The next key I got into was a Necrotic Wake +6, involving a Prot Paladin, Destro Warlock, Marksmanship Hunter, and a Windwalker Monk. Everything was going fine until near the end of the first boss. The Monk gets chomped to one of the fixating adds, the Warlock is a little too far away from the direction the tank's moving, and I didn't realise at the time, because all I'm really doing at this point is panicking and staring at my party frames, and I couldn't keep everyone alive and keep track of where everyone was standing. The boss goes down, but so does the Hunter. Ad focus on the second boss was a bit poor, though it probably didn't help with my very poor decision making in terms of which abilities I was using. So many things available, then I take a beam to the face. Yeah, shut up. Round 2 goes so much better, and we take this guy down. We only got 1 hook for the third boss, of course it was me, and where did this guy go? That was nice. But then, the last boss, I was actually incredibly happy with how this one went. Of course, players stood in swirlies and gave me a heart attack, but I was thinking about this phase as we got here, and pairing this up with Halo, having Serenities available, and then all of the free instant procs, made this encounter so much better. Archon is great and I love it. So yeah, no further deaths, we timed this key, and it took our total score up to 1,657. We also looted a... oh, never mind. Stupid leather warband. I felt adventurous after that one and found myself in a Siege of Boralus +7. And this key, well, the lineup for this 7 was well equipped to completely destroy this key, on paper anyway. The Rogue was the lowest with 610 item level and just under 2k score. The Havoc Demon Hunter sat at 616 item level and 2,300 score. The Ret Paladin was 626 and over 2,500 score. And the Guardian Druid was also 616 item level with over 2,200 score. They all obviously had their 4 sets, really nice trinkets, everything was in a really good spot. So why am I mentioning all of this? Well, remember what I said at the beginning of the video, never judge a book by its cover, because there's 2 sides to the story I'm telling today. Consider this part 1. We're progressing nicely and we start the first boss. I get fixated, I try running one way and I get cut off. Things get a little hairy and I decide to kite the boss towards the double bomb from the location I just came from. I get gripped back in, fixated again, and manage to kite this guy over to one of the bombs. And just look at my position in here, by the way. Ooh, that was a close one. Nearly went through the bomb. I run the wrong way, get fixated for a 3rd time, I misjudge the hitbox of the boss and get smashed into the wall. I then get stuck on the wall and take a fatal blow. The boss then turns to everyone else, completely unaware, everyone fails to run away from the boss, and we lose both the Demon Hunter and the Rogue. I get picked back up, I fail to notice a bomb right next to me, and it's about to go off. I end up dying for a 2nd time, though thankfully the tank is able to kite the boss over one of the bombs and finish this guy off. Well, that was a rough start. Oh, I'm the only ranged, by the way, so that's why I got all of the fixates. I didn't know this going into the fight, not that I would have remembered anyway. Oh, one sec, better rinse myself off again. Ah, much better. The 2nd boss. And you know what I love about this guy? All of the swirlies on the floor. Yeah, this place was great. Well, at least no one died on the second attempt. They're just taking a nap. But we woke them up, took this boss down, and I guess it's nap time again. Oh boy. Good attempt by the tank though, trying to reach the end to make our lives easier. It didn't end well. Then I assumed the paladin ripped aggro before the third boss, because this poison is a tank debuff, right? Anyway, we got to 5% of the third boss, and... I want to sit here and say this didn't happen again, but... yeah. Alright. That's enough laughing at everyone else. You're here to laugh at me, right? So you'll enjoy this part. Last boss. 2 dispels go out, and I'll just pause it here for a moment to explain the situation and to note some things to consider. As you can see, the debuff is on both the tank and the demon hunter. They're both standing on each other, and no one wants to budge. You know, the usual. So on one hand, I could dispel the tank, leaving them free to tank the tentacle, which would knock the demon hunter away, but because of all of their mobility, they can get back to the fight really easily. Or I could dispel the demon hunter, knocking away the tank, probably through a bunch of swirlies, taking a butt ton of damage, and leaving one of the DPS to then tank the tentacle. So which one do you think I dispelled? Of course I dispelled the demon hunter, knocking away the tank, killing the demon hunter, and probably making the tank incredibly frustrated. The demon hunter gets picked back up, the paladin takes no chances with the debuff and bubbles. I dispelled the demon hunter with no derps this time. Oh, but don't think I'm in the clear just yet. Oh no, we're not done. So, we take down the second tentacle. I jump into the cannon as the paladin and the rogue get the debuff. The affix comes out and nearly chomps the paladin. They survive and just stand there. I try getting to the other side with everyone else. I ping the affix for everyone to focus it down. I get the debuff along with the tank. I decide to dispel myself, not realizing that the paladin is still standing with me. And they continue standing in swirlies, just auto-attacking the boss. Oh, they got lag. I'm obviously panicking a lot right now, because we only have 4 minutes to time this key, and in doing so would give me huge score. So the pressure was on. As we're making our way to the last platform, the demon hunter stays behind for the cannon. As you would expect, the affix comes out and fixates on the demon hunter. I think it's safe to assume that the rogue makes friends with another swirly, so does the demon hunter. I try my very best to keep myself and the tank alive, but I mean, the tank is tanking the tentacle, the affix has the debuff, and we're not dealing anywhere near enough damage. So yeah, this one wasn't happening. I guess the tank had enough and they left the key. Alright, so that was one side to the story. Now it's time for part 2. And I get invited to a Dawnbreaker +7. As I make my way, I start inspecting the Windwalker Monk, and to my horror, I see that they're not even over 590 item level. They still have some blues and greens, no set gear, no gems and enchants. Alright, they had one, but whatever. This guy was a mess. I mean, just look at their makeshift transmog. Ay. I inspect the survival and BM hunters, and yes, double hunter. Both at least have their 2 set, but under 610 item level. Way more effort on the BM hunter in terms of enchants though. And then we have the Blood DK. 604 item level, no set gear at all, and these guys really need to work on their transmog, says the guy running around in a Murloc suit. So I can't sit here and say that I was confident. After the previous run, and with all that gear and experience, I was dreading this one, and I just assumed it wasn't going to be timed. We finished the first pack, and I mentioned how interesting I thought this run was going to be, obviously hinting at my prediction of a bricked key. I was hoping to get some sort of response, but you know what they say, actions speak louder than words. So far so good, compared to what I faced previously with all of the avoidable damage, and considering how little gear the monk had, well, again, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't challenging trying to keep them alive at times, but they were constantly using their defensives as well as everyone else. These guys absolutely destroyed the first boss, and I was shocked to say the least. Tank placement for ads and the groups they pulled were quite impressive at times. Pack to pack, everything was just melting. And I must say, the healing required for the second boss, I love Halo so much, man. I did derp with the monk though. I should have done better there and saved them. That was on me. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Divine Hymn. That's actually something we take with this build, and an ability that sometimes feels like it's not very impactful during those intensive moments, but somehow, so far at least, it just manages to pull through. I nearly lose the monk and one of the hunters during phase 1 of the last boss, but thankfully I'm able to keep them alive. We make our way to the final platform. The guys absolutely destroy this run, free chest in the key, taking our total score score up to 1,756, and I was honestly just gobsmacked by the entire run, completely blown away. We have some friendly banter as I thank them for the key, and I leave the group. I then stood there all sad, worried about the next group I might end up with. But then...
We are going Arakara 7, if you wanna tag along?
I wonder. So with the gang all back together, this time we're taking on an Arakara +7. Not quite the key I wanted to do this week, but I couldn't turn up the opportunity. We had a couple of deaths leading up to the first boss. This fight went really well. The ads were being taken care of very quickly, though it did get a little messy at the end, and we nearly ran out of space. We get to the end of the bridge, and would you look at that? It looks like left is the way. I'm only joking, of course. This was a debate that we had in the comments of the last video, where it seems everyone was a mixture of left and right. Honestly, both have their advantages and they're absolutely fine. Early in the season, most groups tend to go right. Now it seems to have shifted and more groups tend to go left. I'm not the tank, I don't bother looking at the routes for these sort of levels. Dilly just follows. We start the second boss, the big circle comes out, and just look at that tank placement. I love this. Oh, and can you get knocked off of this platform, by the way? Because I came really close to finding out. Anyone actually know? Don't be shy. Let me know in the comments below. We make our way to the final boss, and the tank takes the right path instead of going straight down the middle. Though it looks like I don't quite agree and I jump off the side like a complete derp. Whoopsie. But the last boss itself, man, I dread this guy the most, even with this group. And I really want to keep this group, so I better perform. The pressure was on. But of course it doesn't last very long. When I derp with the ad, I'm struggling to keep everyone alive. I completely brain fart, I lose the monk, then myself, and then the DK picks me back up. Then the monk's picked up. There's a ton of healing required, thankfully defensives are used and the fight continues. I managed to find a circle in the nick of time, though sadly we lose the survival hunter. With one CR available and nearly 10 minutes until the second one, I would have saved this one, but the DK decided otherwise and picked up the hunter. I get caught out right at the end where I'm far too far away from any of the puddles. I run to one of the puddles where the BM hunter's standing, though sadly I get there a little too late and I end up getting sucked in and I die. Thankfully for me, the boss is nearly dead, and with the help of Touch of Death, we take this guy down, 2 chests in the key, and taking our total score up to 1,833. Of course, after this, I told the group I was happy to continue if they planned on doing more, and that's exactly what we did. The next key these guys decided they wanted to do was a Batol +7, just the key I needed, as I only had score for a +2, which was my lowest scored dungeon by quite a bit. We pulled the first lot of trash and... poor guy. Nothing to really talk about here until the first boss, though there was a theme to this dungeon and many other boss fights in general, and that was movement. I feel like healing on the go is so much easier when playing this Archon build, as I feel so much more confident having Halo to back me up, and that's evident here with all 4 bosses, as they all include some sort of movement mechanic. It was amazing to see baiting on the second boss and placing pulls appropriately. Just ignore the PI at the end. Yeah, that was a panic, not gonna lie. It was also nice to see just how much this tank, considering the lack of gear, was actually chain pulling, because these guys bloody hurt, man. Just look at how much this DK's HP is yo-yoing, not to mention the HPS they're pulling off. Holy moly. The third boss was rather interesting, and this isn't anything new, but when the tank pulls the dragon into the corner, spawning the elementals in one location, well, I often panic here because I can't heal the tank, as they're basically out of my line of sight. The ad placement is super nice though, when done correctly, but here is where I'll let you guys decide what you think actually happened, because I'm not actually sure. So the ads spawned, I used my Psychic Scream to fear the ads, and the Hunter's Fixated ad explodes at exactly the same time. However, mine's not even affected by the Psychic Scream until I'm blown into the air. So I'm really confused whether or not I caused that, or the Hunter maybe got a little too close. Shall we just blame Dilly? It's probably for the best. Though with 3 CRs available, all DPS rise once more, and we take this guy down. And if you thought things couldn't get spicier, well, the tank completely catches me off guard, taking the first Corruptor around the corner, so now I have double Corruptor to deal with. Is this guy crazy? So of course I'm healing my butt off, trying to keep everyone alive, which of course I do, because I'm such a pro, man. Then into the second pack, and this doesn't even faze me. Even the monk survived. Sorry, Bilto. We began the last boss with 9 minutes remaining, and it would be huge score if we timed this. Bilto makes friends with a tentacle, as you do, but they survive at... oh wait, never mind. There were some intense moments from time to time. The tank nearly bit the big one around 40%, and it was sketchy towards the end where the room was filled with tentacles. But we found our way through, I kept the rest of the party alive, and we defeated this boss, picking up a whopping 91 score, which gives us a grand total of 1,924. And look what we looted from the chest. I'm pretty sure I have every trinket I want on the priest now. Oh, you think I'm missing the Spy Master's trinket? Oh, no. Because although I didn't take it from the vault the other week when I could have, and I didn't win one during any of the raids, this week, during the heroic run, I looted a champion warbound version. Yeah, this priest words, I don't know, man. Anyway, that was where my new group of friends decided they were done for the night. Though perhaps with 1 or 2 more runs, I could have actually achieved KSM. So surely, next week is the week. But before we end today's video, and because we have an interesting combination to choose from, enjoy the wonderful moments, heroic grips and derps, flurp of the week. I like that one. Alright, we'll kick things off with our first run of the day when I anticipate a party member's inability to move from the charge mechanic. I wait for the right moment and grip them to safety in true epic fashion. I still feel good about that one, not gonna lie. But on the other side of the epic spectrum, I do the complete opposite and make a complete mess out of the dispelling during the last boss in Siege of Boralus. 10 out of 10, Dilly will do it again. But rewinding it back a little during the same run, in my opinion at least, flurp of the week goes to all 3 of the DPS that failed to move from various mechanics right at the end of the fight and enjoy the floor. Disagree? Let me know in the comments below.